Okay, the VTEC set to 7,000 RPM. Cam angle everywhere is set to 0, and we've done a dyno run. What do we need to aim for? Well, I like to see part throttle generally tuned 14.7 to 1 air fuel ratio. That's usually columns 1 to 6. Column 7 might be somewhere around 14 to 13.8. For full throttle naturally aspirated, columns 8, 9 and 10, I like to tune for around 13 to 1 air fuel ratio. And for columns 11, 12 and 13, which have our boost columns, which relate in terms of map pressure to boost, 4 pounds, 8 pounds and 12 pounds of map pressure. 12 to 1 or lower, generally 11.5 to 12 to 1 air fuel ratio to be safe. Now, when I'm tuning, I always tune tables that are rectangular in shape and size. And the rectangular tables go horizontal. This is so as I'm increasing or decreasing the fuel maps, I can keep all the fuel lines on the 2D map parallel. They don't mean so much in 3D, I generally tend to prefer to tune in 2D. Now let's say in this dyno run, my dyno run showed me running lean between 3 and 4,000 RPM by, instead of 14.7, I had around 15.7 to 1 air fuel ratio in this area here. Here's what I would do. First of all, I note there's a dip in the fuel curve here. This means it's running less fuel. I'm going to straighten the fuel curve out and make it fill up this particular gap. And I'm going to do it for all of these load positions. And I notice roughly 3.5 to 4,500 RPM. So in a horizontal rectangular block, I'll select 3.5 to 4,500 RPM and increase the fuel in this area here. Okay, we need a little bit more fuel at 4.5 and 4.5 and 4,000 RPM. And we need a little bit more fuel at 3,000 RPM to make the curve nice and smooth. Now, note also that there's a couple of areas in which the fuel's a little bit jagged, and for the really fine minor adjustments I can click on the fuel point with the mouse and just move it up, or click and drag it down and make the fuel curve points nice and smooth in this area here. Fine tuning, yes. Aesthetically pleasing, yes, but you'll usually find that a smooth fuel curve runs a lot better than a bumpy fuel curve. Now once we've got this in this nice smooth area here, we can then increase and decrease the entire lot by 5 or minus 5% to probe for power. We increase by 5%, see if we get an increase in power. We decrease by 5%, see if we get an increase in power. And once we've tuned the air fuel ratio, in this case we're assuming wide open throttle, for around 13 to 1 air fuel ratio, we will then go on and tune ignition.